Hello everyone and welcome to an experimental video that I'm doing from home. You might see that this is a chroma keying. And today I want to talk to you about how perhaps a tide doesn't lift all boats. Okay, why do I say this? There's been a massive upsurge in Dungeons and Dragons over the last I don't know how many years, and that is not per se a bad thing, except it's been said that because Dungeons and Dragons is becoming bigger and bigger and bigger, that means that every other role-playing game is going to become better known and people are going to get interested, except that, well, firstly, there isn't really that much evidence that that's happening at a rate or an amount that really makes it noticeable to the degree that other companies are enjoying a brighter future, per se, even though there are a lot more indie games right now, which is absolutely brilliant. And what I believe is really helping that is not necessarily Dungeons and Dragons itself, but the presence of role-playing games in the Twitch, as in the streaming arena. Now, something's happening in my country which is quite interesting. In my country, there are 3 companies that are huge within the role-playing game arena. Those would be the Veer, Edge Entertainment, and No Solo Roll. Now, Edge runs things like the Warhammer Fantasy. They've had the license for Dungeons and Dragons until very, very recently. They have a lot of licenses from Chaosium, they do absolutely fantastic work. The Veer is huge, and they have things like the One Ring and an awful lot of board games. Edge Entertainment also has a lot of board games. That will become relevant in a second. No Solo Roll, however, is a company that's been going for about 20-odd years. They are pretty big with, I believe, they have about a dozen people hired. And even though their practices have been kind of dodgy in the past, with a fine of 30,000 euros for fraud to social services, not social services, social security payments, a few years ago came to the company, and it's been rumored, I don't know how this is true or not, but it's been rumored that they don't pay an awful lot. And the only person I know who told me how much they earn is because they were going to earn 150 euros if they sold 1,000 copies of their game. That's meager. That's really, really meager. But why do they matter? No Solo Roll releases a huge amount of work every single month, and they are by far the company that really invests in local talent. They publish a lot of Spanish games by Spanish people, more than any other company in Spain. So from that point of view, they do things really well. Their publishing is actually very good. They have excellent artists. The quality of the printing is brilliant, and they've had some very good licenses in the past as well. They were very lucky to get a deal with El Corte Inglés. Who are they? They're the biggest retailer in Spain, with about 90 centers, or 94 centers, I believe, in the whole of the country. They're huge. They sell 17 billion euros every single year. They are massive. Now, with having 94 centers all over the country, that means that they can host a lot of books. No Solo Roll makes most of their sales through their websites, even though they also sell through their local stores, who, by the way, they treat fairly well, so no complaints there. But why it is important to have a deal with El Corte Inglés? Because you can ship them pretty much half a print run of every title that they are going to sell. Now, books take a lot of space, and if you have to hold 1,200 of these beauties, that's going to take an awful lot of space. They take a lot of shelf, a ton of it. Being able to ship it to them means that you don't have to worry, but also that you have guaranteed placement of a number of books large enough that you can order a larger print run, which means that every book is going to be cheaper. So far, so good. What's happened? Well, let me show you. I bought recently Dresden Files, which is retailed at $49.99 plus Book 2 of Dresden File that retailed for $39.99. Atomic Robo, which retailed for $34.99. And Lacuna, which is a local game, that retailed for $12.90. Well, this is important because I bought this for €2. I bought Atomic Robo for $6.95. And I bought Book 2 of the Dresden File for $9.95 and the Dresden File book for $9.95. Why does this matter? In Spain, because books get a very good deal with VAT and they are taxed at just a 4%, you cannot sell a book for more than a 5% discount. That's it. 5%. That's all you can sell. No more. Unless it's either a bundle or a limited offer or a clearance. And that, my friends, is what El Corte Inglés was doing. They were doing a clearance of any and every role-playing game that they were selling. And according to the chap who sold us the games, me and my friends who went there, they are only going to sell from now on Dungeons and Dragons. And no, this does not benefit Edge Entertainment because Wizards of the Coast decided to take back the license so they could sell directly to the stores in Spanish. So suddenly, a company like No Solo Roll, which really struggles, I mean, they have to work very hard to make ends meet, they don't have the largest store in Spain to sell these anymore. That is a problem for them. But it's also a problem for role-playing games because people go into a Corte Inglés and they have a huge geek area with loads of Funko and board games, comic books, you name it, they have it. They do really well. They're only going to see Dungeons and Dragons. And you would say, well, is this affecting anybody else? Well, kind of yes. Let me show you something else. I received this about 5 minutes ago. This is Numerera, sold by Holo Cubierta, published by Holo Cubierta, yeah, from Monte Cook Game. They had a license. They decided to quit a number of their lines a few months ago, and this was retailed for $49.95. The Player's Guide was retailed at $29.95. The Bestiary was sold for $29.95. This adventure, which I don't know how it's called in English, it's sold for $22.99, and the Games Master screen is sold for €18. That's about €150, give or take. That came to my shelf for €62. Yes, they are also making bundles so they can get away with having to store an awful lot of games. That is not the only one that they're doing. Sales would appear, and I'm saying this out of the blue, and I don't have any data to back this up, but sales of role-playing games are not going all that well. Sales of Dungeons and Dragons, though, well, yes, they are doing very well. And Wizards is investing their considerable capital behind some streamers who are devoting their efforts into making the D&D brand bigger. They give away beautiful books that other companies can't afford. They give away an awful lot of goodies that other companies would struggle to be able to pay for. And they are well within their rights to do it. I am not saying that D&D, the Wizards, is doing anything wrong, because they are not. They are just using their tools. Would I prefer if somebody else could do it? Yeah, but it is very, very unlikely. So, my friends, in this particular case, a race, a tide doesn't lift all boats at all. So please, please, please get behind your indie publishers. Get behind your local games store. Get behind the small online retailer, because this is only going to get worse with the shipping costs, the costs of paper. This is only going to get worse until it gets better. And by then, we will have seen an awful lot of companies going down that are producing really good games. So please, 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 the market is such that we need, for the sake of advancement and innovation in role-playing games, we do need to support indie creators. Please, let's do it. Thank you very, very much. I'll talk to you soon.